tonight. And I want to introduce Matt York, and he will tell you all about himself and the music he's going to play. He's going to play some good country stuff by the Highwaymen. So I'm sure you will enjoy it. And Matt?
All right. Hi, folks. How are you? Hi there. My name is Matt York, and I grew up in Foxborough, and I live in Pembroke, Massachusetts on the South Shore. And I've been a musician my whole life. I started playing the clubs in Boston when I was about 15 years old, and I just turned 50 this year. And so I know, I love that when I play senior centers, they always say this, you're such a baby. And then I go and play like rock clubs at night, and they're like, whew, you're an old man. So I continue to do a lot of gigs doing my own music as well, and that's what I've done. And I've been able to travel all over North America doing that over the years. And but I'd also had a corporate job for 20 years, and during the beginnings of the pandemic, I was laid off from my day job, and 2 weeks later, my wife was laid off from her day job, and we have two wildly expensive teenage daughters, and we were scrambling, and so I was doing a whole bunch of gigs and trying to figure out what the next steps were going to be, and the idea of the Highwaymen, which, if you're not familiar, are Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Kris Kristofferson. You know, I'd played down in Nashville a few years ago, and I just, when I went around, I noticed that they're just, you know, everywhere you go in Nashville, you see Johnny Cash, and whenever I've played in Texas, you see Willie Nelson everywhere you go. But I felt like a lot of their counterparts, including Waylon Jennings and Kris Kristofferson, were kind of getting lost to time. And so I had this idea to try to do this thing that you're going to hear, and people seemed to kind of like it. And so through word of mouth, I just started doing more and more and more of it. And at one point, someone told me, they said, you know, towns have cultural council grants, and I'm not here to, and Concord, it has nothing to do with the cultural grant. The folks here were just nice enough to have me. But so between various ways of getting paid, I am on pace to do this 150 times this year across Massachusetts. I'm taking it down to Nashville next month and into New York in January, and it has become my full-time job, which is absolutely ridiculous. I wake up in the morning, folks, and I just drive somewhere. I sing Willie Nelson songs. I'll go eat a burrito. I'll go somewhere else. I'll sing more songs. Then I go home. That's all I do now. It's ridiculous. I used to be a newspaper writer, so I wrote a book about the Highwaymen, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So that's kind of my little ramble. And now the first song I'm going to do is a song by the great Johnny Cash called Big River. You know, Marty Stewart once said that there are two kinds of people in this world. There are people that love Johnny Cash's music, and there are those that will. And that has certainly been the case as I've traveled around, and so this was on an early album of Johnny Cash's, and then when the Highwaymen put out their first album many years later in 1985, it was also on that album as well. And if I don't screw it up, it'll sound just like this. Now I taught the weeping willow how to cry, 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 and I showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky. The tears I cried for that woman, they're gonna flood you, Big River. I'm gonna sit right here until I die. Well, I met her accidentally in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it tore me up every time I heard her drawl, southern drawl. I heard my dream was back downstream, Gilmorton and Davenport, and I followed you, Big River, when you called. Then you took me to St. Louis, later on down the river. A freighter said she's been there, but she's gone, boy, she's gone. I found her trail in Memphis, but she just walked up the block. She raised a few eyebrows and I went on down alone. Now won't you batter down by Baton Rouge, River Queen, roll it on. Take that woman on down to New Orleans, New Orleans. Go on, I've had enough I dump my blues down in the Gulf. She loves you, Big River, more than me. Now I taught the weeping willow how to cry, cry, cry. And I showed the clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky. The tears I cried for that woman, they're gonna flood you, Big River. I'm gonna sit right here until I die. And I'm gonna sit right here until I die. And I'm gonna sit right here until I die. Thank you very much. Thank you. So as I mentioned, I turned 50 this year, and whenever cable access records my performances, I always try to tell a story about my mother, because she lives in Florida, and she has a lot of free time, so she likes to watch me on whenever these things are like posted on YouTube and stuff. So my mother, when I grew up, I knew Kris Kristofferson as the guy that my mom thought was really handsome. I didn't know much else about him. I knew he was an actor. He starred in over 90 movies through the years, so he certainly did an awful lot of acting. And when I wrote the book over the winter, I sent it out to some friends of mine that were music fans or writers, and I also sent one to my mom. And I got a nice text from a friend of mine who writes for the Boston Globe, and he said, "Hey, here's a little blurb if you want to use like on the back of your book." And it was a very nice thing that he wrote about it. And like 5 minutes later, I got a text from my mother, and she said, "I didn't know Kris Kristofferson used to sing." And so I'm not sure what she was doing in the 70s, but the 70s were a hazy time for a lot of folks. But he had a tremendous story. He was a Rhodes Scholar that studied at Oxford. He was a pilot in the military. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. And with all of that pedigree, he decided to move to Nashville. He took a job as a custodian at a recording studio down there with the hopes that he would get to meet Johnny Cash. And it worked. He got to meet June Carter and got some songs into her hands, and she handed them over to Johnny. The song I'm going to do right now is a song called Sunday Morning Coming Down, which Johnny Cash recorded in 1970, and it was the Country Music Song of the Year that year. It's the only song I know of that all four members of the Highwaymen recorded individually, and it's a beautiful song. Well, I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. All the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert. Then I fumbled in my closet through my clothes and found my cleanest dirty shirt. Then I washed my face and combed my hair and stumbled down the stairs to meet the day. I'd smoked my mind the night before with cigarettes and songs that I'd been keeping. But I lit my first and watched a small kid playing with the can that he was kicking. Then I walked across the street and caught the Sunday smell of someone frying chicken. And it took me back to something that I lost somewhere, somehow along the way. On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. Oh, there's something in a Sunday that'll make your body feel alone. Yeah, there's nothing short of dying half as lonesome as the sound of a sleeping city sidewalk. Sunday morning coming down. In the park I saw a daddy with a laughing one little girl that he was swinging. And I stopped beside a Sunday school and listened to the songs that they were singing. Then I headed down the street, and somewhere far away a lonely bell was ringing. And it echoed through the canyon like I disappear in dreams of yesterday. On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. Oh, there's something in a Sunday that'll make your body feel alone. Yeah, there's nothing short of dying half as lonesome as the sound of a sleeping city sidewalk. Sunday morning coming down. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Willie Nelson is 89 years old now. Willie Nelson will be at Great Woods in Mansfield tomorrow night. He is still going. I saw him last fall for Farm Aid down in Connecticut. He had two of his sons with him. The three of them sit on stools. Both of his sons play guitar. His son Lucas sounds just like him vocally, and so the listening to the two of them harmonize is really a remarkable thing to listen to. His sister Bobby, who just recently passed away, she was 91 years old. She was sitting right behind him. She'd been his piano player for 50 years, and Willie's living a pretty good life. There was 30,000 people there singing every single word that Willie. I trust that Willie was singing, but honestly, I'm not really sure because it just seemed like the entire crowd was doing it all for him. So this next song I'm going to do is a song by him that he also did with Waylon Jennings that I think most of you will probably recognize, called "Mama, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys." Cowboys ain't easy to love, and they're harder to hold. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds of gold. Lone Star belt buckles and old faded Levi's, and each night begins a new day. And if you don't understand him, he don't die young, he'll probably just ride away. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Make them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. They'll never stay home, they're always alone, even with someone they love. Cowboys like smoky old pool rooms and clear mountain mornings, little warm puppies, children and girls of the night. Them that don't know him won't like him, and them that do sometimes won't know how to take it. He ain't wrong, it's just different, but his pride won't let him do the things that make you think he's right. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Make them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. They'll never stay home, they're always alone, even with someone they love. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Turn it down. Sure. Turn the guitar down or okay. Next song I'm going to do is a song by Waylon Jennings. I find when I go around and I do this that people are less familiar with Waylon Jennings than the other three members of the Highwaymen. He was a huge star. He had 18 number one hits on the country charts through the years. He was a member of Buddy Holly's Crickets when they were on tour, and had he not swapped seats with the Big Bopper, he would have been on the plane the day that the music died, when Buddy Holly and the plane crashed. I was doing this somewhere on the South Shore, and some of you may remember the movie, The Buddy Holly Story, that came out in the 80s with, it's always funny to say this, Academy Award nominee Gary Busey. The guy that wrote the Buddy Holly story just happened to be in the audience, and so he came up and talked to me afterwards, and he'd got to interview Waylon a few times for the book, and it was interesting talking to him about the survivor's guilt that Waylon carried from having not been on that plane, and also the kind of elements of rock and roll that Waylon Jennings brought to country music and to Nashville in particular. He was a tremendous guitar player. He was really, he had it all. He was a good-looking guy. He had a great voice. He was truly a rebel. And this song is a song that he and Willie Nelson did together called Luckenbach, Texas. The only things in life that make it worth living is guitars that tune good, firm feeling women. I don't need my name on the marquee light. I've got my song and I got you with me tonight. Maybe it's time we got back to the basics of love. Let's go to Luckenbach, Texas, Waylon and Willie and the boys. This successful life we're living's got us feuding like the Hatfields and McCoys. Between Hank Williams' pain songs and Newberry's train songs and Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. Out in Luckenbach, Texas, there ain't nobody feeling no pain. So baby, let's sell your diamond ring, buy some boots and faded jeans and go away. This coat and tie is choking me, in your high society you cry all day. We've been so busy keeping up with the Joneses, 4-car garage and we're still building on. Maybe it's time we got back to the basics of love. Let's go to Luckenbach, Texas, Waylon, Willie and the boys. This successful life we're living's got us feuding like the Hatfields and McCoys. Between Hank Williams' pain songs and Newberry's train songs and Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. Out in Luckenbach, Texas, there ain't nobody feeling no pain. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, folks. I'm going to do a Johnny Cash song next. It's between Memorial Day and Labor Day, I did 78 of these concerts, and I just got an oil change yesterday. I drove 10,000 miles in the last 2 months, so it's something. And one of the things I've found wherever I go is that these songs just resonate regardless of audience, because they're great songs, and these guys were just incredible performers. I played in a town called Mount Washington, Massachusetts, which is probably about 3 hours from here, maybe I don't know, 2.5 hours from here. It is a population of 148 people. And once a year, they have a potluck dinner in their town. They had one building, and it was probably half the size of this room, and it was their library, their town hall, their tax, everything. It was all in that one building. And they had about 80 people show up for the dinner, and then they have a concert afterwards, so I was the concert. And that was one of the ones I'll really remember, because I was talking to this woman who lived there, and she was probably in her 60s, I'd guess. And she was saying how there were 3 families that had moved out to Mount Washington during COVID, and they were young families, they had young kids. And she said, we haven't had children in this town for 20 years. And that just blew my mind, And but a bunch of those hill towns out in the western part of the state, they didn't get radio out there, but they could get an AM station from West Virginia in the 60s that would play the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night. But it played honky-tonk music, it played bluegrass music, and that was their music. That was all they could listen to, And but what's remarkable to me is that, I can go out there to play to a bunch of folks that oftentimes were farmers, or certainly, lived off the land in a big way. Or I can go down to, Falmouth and Wellfleet and Truro and play to summer concerts down there to a bunch of tourists over the summer. And the songs resonate the same way. And these 2 songs I'm going to play right now are 2 little snippets of songs by Johnny Cash that were both on Live at Folsom Prison. And they're not necessarily his most famous songs, but to me, the words of these songs are just, they resonate with everybody, I think. And I think that's one of the big reasons why he's such an iconic artist. My bills are all due, the babies need shoes, and I'm busted. Cotton is down to $0.25 a pound, and I'm busted. I got a cow that went dry and a hen that won't lay. A big stack of bills that get bigger each day. The county's gonna haul my belongings away. I'm busted. I went to my brother to ask for a loan. I was busted. I hate to beg like a dog for a bone, but I'm busted. My brother said there ain't a thing I can do. My wife and my kids are all down with the flu, and I was just thinking of calling on you. I'm busted. Lord, I'm no thief, but a man can go wrong when he's busted. The food that we canned last summer is gone, and I'm busted. The fields are all bare and the cotton won't grow. Me and my family, we gotta pack up and go. Where I'll make a living, the Lord only knows. I'm busted. At my door the leaves are falling. A cold wild wind will come. Sweethearts walk by together. I still miss someone. I go out to all the parties and look for a little fun, but I find the darkened corner. I still miss someone. though I never got over those blue eyes. I see them everywhere. I miss those arms that held me when all the love was there. I wonder if she's sorry for leaving what we'd begun. There's someone for me somewhere. I still miss someone. I still miss someone. But I still miss someone. I still miss someone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, folks. So the Highwaymen came together in 1985. They made their first album. They made 3 albums together, 1985, 1990, and 1995. They were all had been huge stars for a number of years by that point. But it's funny to think of now, but at the time, in the early 1980s in particular, Johnny Cash's career had really tapered off quite a bit. And at the same time, Willie Nelson's career was at its absolute zenith. And Willie made some albums with people whose music had influenced him and whose careers had faded a bit. He made an album with Ray Price. He made an album with Farron Young, with Webb Pierce, with a number of different folks. And so the idea was, well, maybe Johnny Cash and him could make an album together. But they actually didn't know each other very well. They started to try to record some stuff, and their voices just didn't sync up very well, and the idea was scrapped. And then the country musician Marty Stewart had the idea of bringing in Waylon Jennings and Kris Kristofferson to try to try something with the 4 of them. And it was an immediately successful idea. The Highwaymen album came out in 1985. This is the first song from that album called Highwayman. And there's 4 verses in this song. Each one of them sang a verse to it. This album immediately went to #1, and then they would go on and play a bunch of huge theaters all around the world, stadiums all around the world. I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier lost my blade. The bastards hung me in the spring of 25, but I am still alive. I was a sailor. I was born upon the tide. With the sea I did abide. I sailed soon around the Horn to Mexico. I went aloft and furled the mainsail in a blow. And when the odds broke up, they said that I got killed. But I am living still. I was a dam builder across a river deep and wide, where steel and water did collide. A place called Boulder on the wild Colorado. I slipped and fell into the wet concrete below. They buried me in that great tomb that knows no sound, but I am still around. And I'll always be around and 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 around. I'll fly a starship across the universe divide, and when I reach the other side, I'll find a place to rest my spirit if I can. Perhaps I may become a highwayman again, or I may simply be a single drop of rain but I will remain. I'll be back again and 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 again. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I always repeat these statistics because I find them fascinating. So as you probably guessed, prior to becoming a guy that sings Highwaymen songs for a living, I have a bachelor's degree in economics, and I spent 20 years working in corporate America, and now I look like this. But so anyway, I love numbers, and these numbers always blow my mind. So again, the 4 Highwaymen were Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Kris Kristofferson, and Johnny Cash. Between the 4 of them, there were 13 wives and 27 children. So they were active. Waylon Jennings was married 4 times with 6 kids. Johnny Cash was married twice with 5 kids. Kris Kristofferson was married 3 times with 8 children. Willie Nelson was married 4 times with 8 children. Willie Nelson was once out on tour, and his wife received a bill in the mail from a hospital for a baby delivery that was not her baby. So she divorced Willie. Willie married the other woman, and then that woman divorced Willie. Because love is hard, folks. Love is hard. This is a song that Kris Kristofferson did with one of his wives, Rita Coolidge. It's called "Help Me Make It Through the Night." Take the ribbon from your hair, shake it loose and let it fall. Lay it soft upon my skin, like the shadow on the wall. Come and lay down by my side till the early morning light. All I'm taking is your time. Help me make it through the night. Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow's out of sight. And it's sad to be alone. Help me make it through the night. But I don't care who's right or wrong. Well, I won't try to understand. Let the devil take tomorrow. Tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow's out of sight. And it's sad to be alone. Help me make it through the night. Well, I don't care who's right or wrong. Well, I won't try to understand. Let the devil take tomorrow. Tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone. Tomorrow's out of sight, and it's sad to be alone. Help me make it through the night. Well, I don't want to be alone. Help me make it through the night. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, like I said, Willie's coming to town tomorrow night, and in the book, one of the things I talk about is one of the things I try to do in the book is kind of act like a human algorithm and try to connect people to some of the modern music that exists. Every time I do these types of concerts, people come up to me and they say, I love the old country music. I love George Jones. I love Merle Haggard. I hate modern country music. And I hate modern country music too. But there's a whole bunch of really great modern country music that exists, and it's not at Gillette Stadium, and it's not on the country, the popular country music stations in the city. It's at the small clubs throughout the country, and they play much larger venues down south, but I know this because I get to open up for a lot of them doing my own music, and one of the really awesome things about Willie is that he is great at identifying a bunch of these younger, lesser-known artists and bringing them out on tour with him. So tomorrow night, for instance, he's got a kid by the name of Billy Strings opening up for him. I think Billy's 22 years old, maybe. He is an absolute master guitar player. He is just a virtuoso. And, if Billy Strings came through town on his own, he'd probably play in front of maybe 500 people in Boston, 1,000 people. And tomorrow night he'll play in front of 17,000 people, that most of whom will never have heard his name before, and will almost certainly be blown away by him. And so that's one of the things I try to do in the book is talk about that and about how Willie is really good at doing that and trying to say, well, folks, if you like Merle Haggard, then you might like Billy Strings or whoever, because this great music does exist. It's just really hard to find. And this song I'm going to do by Willie, Patsy Cline just turned 90 years old the other day. If she was still alive, she would have turned 90 years old. This is a song that he wrote for her called Crazy. They say it's the most played song in the history of jukeboxes. I think a lot about how they came up with that number and how they determined that, and I don't know if it's really true or not, but it's got to be right up there. Crazy. Well, I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. Crazy. Crazy for feeling so blue. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted. And then someday you'd leave me for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering, what in the world did I do? Crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. Crazy for crying, crazy for trying. Well, I'm crazy for loving you. Crazy for crying, crazy for trying. I'm crazy for loving you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do a song by Merle Haggard next. Merle Haggard wasn't a member of the Highwaymen, but if you were a fan of the Highwaymen, you almost certainly are a fan of Merle Haggard. And he was about as closely linked to these guys as you could be. There's a really wonderful book that was written about Merle earlier this year. I forget the name of the author, but it's just a wonderful book. And for those of you that aren't familiar with his backstory, he basically spent the better part of between the ages of 14 to 22 or so incarcerated in juvenile lockups and in adult prison. He wasn't a violent criminal. He wasn't a drug addict. Or he was kind of like the dumb 14-year-old kid that would go steal a car, crash it, get sent to juvenile lockup, break out of the juvenile lockup, get sent to a more secure lockup, break out of that one. He ended up in San Quentin prison. And while he was at San Quentin, Johnny Cash came and performed a concert. And Merle basically said, all right, when I get out of here, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be Johnny Cash. Merle Haggard had 30 number one hits on the country charts, more than any of these four guys did. And when he got out of jail, it's so funny in this day and age where you can just Google anything about anybody and find out some information. He went from being in San Quentin prison to being a country star very, very quickly, and nobody knew that he'd been in jail. And he was really unsure on how he was afraid people were going to find out and it was going to ruin his career. And so he went to Johnny Cash, and Johnny Cash said, you should just tell everybody. And that's what he did. He ended up writing a number of songs that were about his time in prison. This is the song called Working Man Blues. Willie Nelson and Merle were very good friends. A lot of people say that he was that Merle was Willie's best friend. He was certainly one of them. And when Merle put out this song, shortly thereafter, Willie would play this almost every night live. His guitar player, Jody Payne, had played guitar with Merle for a while, and then Jody was with Willie for many, many years. And so Jody would sing this song when they'd play it live. It's a big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife. I've been a working man dang near all my life, and I'll keep on working as long as my 2 hands are fit to use. I drink my beer in the tavern, sing a little bit of these working man blues. I keep my nose on the grindstone, I work hard every day. I might get a little tired on the weekend. After I draw my pay, I gotta go back working. Come Monday morning, I'm right back with the crew. I drink a little beer in the evening, sing a little bit of these working man blues. Sometimes I think about leaving, do a little bumming around. I want to throw my bills out the window, catch a train to another town, but I'll go back working. I gotta buy my kids a brand new pair of shoes. I'll drink a little beer in the tavern, cry a little bit of these working man blues. I said, hey, hey, working man like me. I ain't never been on welfare, and that's one place I won't be. I'll be working as long as these 2 hands are fit to use. I'll drink my beer in the tavern, cry a little bit of these working man blues. I'll drink my beer in the tavern, cry a little bit of these working man blues. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to do a song that was on the second Highwaymen album. It's a song called Live Forever. It was written by a great, great Texas songwriter by the name of Billy Joe Shaver, who was not nearly as well known as these guys, but was just a tremendous, tremendous songwriter. And he passed away during COVID. There's a benefit album, or not a benefit album, a tribute album to him that's coming out this fall, and Willie Nelson is going to sing this song on it. But like I said, the Highwaymen did this. Johnny Cash also did this on his own. It's called Live Forever. I'm going to live forever. I'm going to cross that river. I'm going to catch tomorrow now. You're going to want to hold me just like I always told you. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Nobody here will ever find me, but I'll always be around. Just like the songs I leave behind me, I'm gonna live forever now. You fathers and you mothers, take care of one another. Be sure to raise your children right. Don't let the darkness take them. Don't let them feel forsaken. Just lead them safely to the light. When this whole world has blown asunder and all the stars fall from the sky, just know that someone really loves you. We'll stay together, you and I. I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna cross that river. I'm gonna catch tomorrow now. I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna cross that river. I'm gonna catch tomorrow now. Hey, you. That was Billy Joe Shaver that wrote that song. I joke that I have the most ridiculous job in the world, that I just go, this is literally just what I do. I just do this. But if the world was perfect, I would spend my life just going around doing an hour's worth of Billy Joe Shaver songs, because he was the wildest person in the history of country music. And if some of you might remember the great movie Crazy Heart that Robert Duvall did many years ago, and Jeff Bridges was the star. That was maybe 15 years ago. The character, the Jeff Bridges character, was based on Billy Joe Shaver, and they were very good friends, Robert Duvall and Billy Joe. The next song I'm going to do is a song that is Kris Kristofferson's most famous song. This song is Me and Bobby McGee, which obviously made famous by Janis Joplin. When I was young, someone once said, well, if you're going to cover somebody's songs, don't ever sing songs by people that have a better voice than you. And so I like to go around and do Patsy Cline, Janis Joplin, Johnny Cash, make it easy for myself. Busted flat in Baton Rouge, heading for the train, feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed the diesel down just before it rained, took us all the way to New Orleans. I took my harpoon out of my dirty red bandana, and I was blowing sad while Bobby sang the blues. With them windshield wipers slapping time and Bobby clapping hands, we finally sang up every song that driver knew. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun, Bobby shared the secrets of my soul. Standing right beside me, Lord, through everything I've done. And every night she kept me from the cold. Ah, somewhere near Salinas, Lord, I let her slip away, looking for that home, and I hope she'll find. But I'd trade all my tomorrows for a single yesterday, holding Bobby's body next to mine. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing left is all she left for me. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. And buddy, that was good enough for me. good enough for me and Bobby McGee. La da da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, Bobby McGee. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to do a couple more songs for you. I want to thank Tina for bringing me out here. We booked me to come here a long time ago, and it was before Omicron, and before it's been a long time coming, so it's good to finally get out here. I have a mailing list or business cards if anybody wants to find out more information. I'm everywhere, folks. I'm like if you're like, that wasn't bad and it was free, well, I'm all over the place. So you can certainly do this again. I try to mix it up every time that I come back to a different an area that I've been in the past. And I'm also next year I'm going to be doing a full hour of just Johnny Cash by himself, because there's just so many stories and songs to choose from, and invariably, I do this, and it's just impossible to fit, all the great songs. I haven't played any of the three biggest hits by Johnny Cash. I haven't played one of them. I'm going to play one right now, but. People love the book. I'm the worst salesman in the world, but if you're interested in the book, it is essentially an extension of these dumb stories that I'm telling you. It is not David McCullough's deep dive on John Adams. It is anecdotes that I picked up along the way, stories, most of which I imagine are true, and it's amazing how many of the stories that are in there are really actually just stories that I picked up when I first started doing this. People that. I'm anxious to go. I'm going to Hanson, Massachusetts next week, and that was one of the first places that I did, maybe a year and a half ago. And this woman came over to me. She was probably in her 60s, and she had a picture from like 30 years ago. She took it out of the envelope, and it was her and another woman and Willie Nelson. And it's probably from 30, 40 years ago. And Willie and the other woman are just sitting there kind of like posing, kind of showing their ears. They got backstage, the two women got backstage, and Willie Nelson was wearing a diamond earring. And the woman went over to Willie and she said, "Hey, do you want to swap earrings?" And Willie, without missing a beat, said, "Yeah, sure." And just handed her the diamond earring, and that's the picture of them showing off their earrings that they swapped. And so it's kind of anecdotes like that. So I'm hoping that the woman from Hanson's there next week, so I can tell her that she's in the book. Johnny Cash used to say that people would come up to him and say, "My father was in prison with you," and it didn't seem like that big of a stretch, probably. But he only served a few days here and there for doing dumb things, getting locked up just in overnight in jail and stuff like that. But he was very, very passionate about prisoner rights. There's an interesting movie called Tricky Dick and the Man in Black that's out on Netflix right now, which is about an hour long, and it's basically it talks about the time that Richard Nixon invited Cash to perform at the White House, and how he wanted to try to use Johnny Cash as a political prop, and you can probably imagine about how well that went, and it's interesting to see the back and forth in it, and some of the folks that were kind of part of the discussions as the songs that Nixon wanted him to sing that weren't even Johnny Cash songs, and it's kind of an interesting movie to see. I hear the train a coming. It's rolling round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since, well, I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps on a-rolling on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, "Son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns." But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. But I bet there's rich folks see from a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee, oh, smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming, but I know I can't be free. Oh, but those people keep on moving, and that's what touches me. Well, if they freed me from this prison, and if that railroad train was mine, well, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. Oh, and I let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to do one more song for you. I'm going to do Willie Nelson's On the Road Again to end. I always tell this story because Willie, to me, has just kind of been the personification of just... someone made this comment to me recently, and I couldn't agree with it more, that now that Betty White is dead, that the only thing that we can agree on in this world is that we all love Dolly Parton and we all love Willie Nelson. And I think that's about right. And no one will ever be able to say that they did a duet with Patsy Cline and they did a duet with Snoop Dogg. But Willie Nelson will be able to say that, you know. And... I was playing a music festival up in Toronto 3 or 4 years ago, and I was just up there doing my own music, and I was in a small little backstage area that was probably about maybe twice the size of this stage. And just in there for killing an hour or so of time, and there was a band there that were two 19-year-old kids from Mexico City, and they didn't speak great English, and I don't speak Spanish. And then there was a band that was a bunch of 25-year-olds that were from South Korea. They were a pop band, and so we weren't really able to communicate. And we all had instruments, and we all started just kind of noodling around on our instruments, and all of a sudden we just kind of started playing nothing magical, but we just started kind of playing music together. And I remember I got home that night, and I got to my hotel, and I opened my phone, and I opened Facebook, and I had a friend request from one of the kids from Mexico City, and I had a friend request from one of the girls from South Korea, and I laughed because every single time to this day, every time they post something, I have absolutely no idea what it says. Like, I don't know how their careers are going. I don't know if they're trying to, like, you know, if they're doing like a pyramid scheme. I have no idea what's going on with their Facebook feed, but I get it and I'm happy that we're friends because we were able to kind of slide into this conversation musically that we never would have been able to have otherwise. And to me, nobody has kind of represented the spirit of that better than Willie Nelson. You know, you go to a Willie Nelson concert, you don't see a lot of fights. You'll see a lot of Hells Angels, you'll see a lot of hippies, you'll see a lot of really old people, you see a lot of young people. My 14-year-old daughter wore a Willie Nelson shirt to school yesterday, and so it's amazing. And to me, I read somewhere that this was his favorite song, either that he wrote or his favorite song to perform. So, thank you very much for listening. This is On the Road Again. On the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places I ain't never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends. insisting that the world keep turning our way, and our way is on the road again. But I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way, and our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thank you.
I also want to take the opportunity to thank the Harvey's Treasure Chest gift shop. Their proceeds helped us bring that here today. So let's